Good afternoon. Uh, I'll be talking about optimizing vascular access in EVA, and our earlier speaker had very clearly said EVA is the future and it will become better. But what all things are happening in EVA that's changing? We're having newer devices, the same device getting a makeovers, then say different devices, different companies coming in. So that we are having newer devices, we are tackling much more complex cases, much more complex anatomies, smaller devices, sheaths, hopefully, which are the future. Fenestrated devices, again, the device size is getting bigger. We're trying for daycare or shorter admissions. I think the last 3 aneurysms that we did were practically daycare admissions. Early ambulations, hopefully by evening, if you're using especially percutaneous EVA. Early discharge, and of course, we're dealing with more and more ruptures. Earlier ruptures were probably mostly dealt with surgically. Now we're going for endovascular. But what are the issues? I think the issue primarily is femoral, because femoral access is still the gold standard, and so far the devices always need an femoral access. So I think the sizing is paramount. Then you have to look for tortuosity, angulation in iliac arteries, aorta especially again. Calcifications, you look for ledges, you look for flaps, stenosis, occlusions, involvements of maybe stenosis, occlusion. So I think all these things need to be taken under consideration. And I think one of the foremost and the first thing that you should need is a good CT scan, CT angiography. And as a technician, as a vascular surgeon, or as a cardiologist, or maybe as an intervention radiologist, I think one of the basic paramount things that you need to know is read your own CT scans. Do your own planning. You can take help from reps, or you can take help from a lot of other people, but I think the first and foremost, you need to know how to read a CT scan. The sizing is paramount. If the exact sizing of iliac arteries, aorta is not there, you will probably end up in big soup at some stage. Different devices, they've used different parameters for sizing. Gore, inner wall, Medtronic does an inner wall with indurant, and of course, Cook, the outer wall. So I think the exact measurement, the shortest diameter, having the longest length, then the calcifications, all these little things make a difference when you're doing a successful case. If any calcification noted in the chart, keep those chart right in front of you when you're doing it. And whenever you're tracking the device or removing the sheath, make sure you're focusing on that particular area. Almost all devices, especially the hydrophilic sheaths that we are having nowadays, can easily be pushed in. It's always the pushing coming out which gives us problems. Iliac tortuosity, especially the kind of iliac arteries that we see on the left side here, cuts, one iliac artery, one CT cut giving us 3 iliac artery cuts. I think these are the cases where we find, yes, we are in a big problem. Again, tortuous anatomy, large vessel, again, the choice of access vessel will probably be dependent upon larger vessel caliber. The best vessel gets a larger strain. Lesser tortuosity gets a preference, minimal calcification, and no stenotic segments. But again, there's much more to it rather than just go for the standard definitions, because a lot of times you find for EVA especially, you would like to go in for the more complex one, if you can straighten that artery out. If it's an external iliac, I would probably do a maneuver to get the external artery out. Whereas if it's in common iliac, I'll prefer the straighter artery. So I think a lot of things which you gain with your experience, with you gain with a proctor or somebody helping you out, a good surgeon would be able to help you out and give you the best artery for the main device. Kuhn's dilator is especially a good option because you can easily dilate it. 1, 2, you can sound the artery. If your 20 French Kuhn's dilator passes, probably your 21 French sheath will also pass. Gore had an advantage where we could pass the sheath first and then take the call before opening the device, but unfortunately Medtronic and Cook, you open up the device and the device becomes a sheath in at least the Cook devices. With covered stent graft, you have to understand that it's not just paving and cracking. You need to know exactly what's the outer diameter you want and what is the inner diameter of your covered stent. I think all these things need to be taken care of. Using a hybrid option, conduit, I think that was something which was done very frequently. We still do it for difficult arteries, but the better devices which are coming in, the smaller sheaths that are coming in, I think we're trying to escape this in a big way now. Controlled paving and lining, I think, may add to the cost to a bit, but yes, one of the best ideas to do it complete endovascular job. And of course, the open deployment of stent, the aortic exposure and going ahead. Internal endoconduit or the paving and cracking, it's a controlled iliac artery rupture. You basically do a, for an occlusive or a very severe stenotic disease, you basically endoline it with a covered stent and then really balloon it up. You can have problems with your internal iliac bleeding, but most of the time you get away with it. Use Viabahn fluency or even iliac extensions. So in this case, we did a left external iliac, which is badly calcified, endolined it, dilated it with 12 mm, and were easily able to pass a 21 front sheath. The standard femoral access has been there for ages. We've been doing it for a number of years now. But I think there's certain maneuvers that we need to know, especially if there's a tortuous external iliac. You can expose the external iliac artery, maybe divide the two branches and gently pull it out. We do the same thing for a tortuous or a kink in the carotid artery and do the exactly same thing in external iliac. You can probably divide it later on and do an end-to-end anastomosis. Not only solves your job, makes your EVAR access very easy. Then there is an iliac conduit, though it's shown as it's been taken out of the body. I preferably like to take it coaxial with the external iliac, take it out of the groin and then pass in the stent graft. Makes my life much easier if I do it that way. And you can just clip off the artery and the graft in the end. Then you can have multiple access. If you're doing a hybrid, especially if you're doing a visceral aneurysms and you want to pass in grafts to many other renal arteries, SMA or so, you can use one of the arms of your aortobifemoral graft and use that as a conduit, and then subsequently, of course, ligate that. In this case, we also used a aortic graft. Then, of course, the future is, of course, we are going on for PVAR, where it is a gold standard now, I think, for all aneurysms, which can be tackled. If you have a favorable anatomy, I would definitely go in for PVAR today. A lot of access site complications, we all know it. There are a lot of angiograms which need to be done, a lot of amputations, or I would say gangrenous changes could have been avoided had somebody taken care of these access site problems. But I think as we grow, our experience grows, we are finding we are doing it better, we are doing it, we're having lesser complications. Minor complications are much more common, blue toes or something, but again, I think the new one which we have probably added is percutaneous closure device failure. I'll talk about it for a minute. The thing that we are really worried about is, in the end, I think an iliac on a stick. When you're pulling out your device, it usually happens, the iliac artery stick onto your graft sheets. And if iliac ruptures, I think the easiest way or the best way to get out is put a balloon in, always have a wire in when you're pulling out the sheet so that you can always go in and put your balloon back in and at least secure your bleeding. And once that happens, you can put in a covered stent. Again, in my conclusion, I'll talk about what our itinerary you need to be having in your grafts. We did an emergency TVAR and for a rupture and successfully came out, but at that stage we realized that being an emergency, we just had to get something out, went in through the left groin and realized that we had having a proper dissection and a flap had come off the distal edge of external iliac. Fortunately, it did not bleed, but yes, there was a dissection flap there. Being surgeons, it's easy. We had already had the groin open, did an embolectomy. Were able to clear out the artery. Unfortunately, the videos, again, as usual, don't work. And we were able to clear out the artery well, and subsequently, we were able to get a good arterial flow. So just stacking the distal flap and just covering up the artery. Now, what are the bailout options? I think balloon occlusion, temporary, of course, covered stent influences, or even iliac extensions if needed. Surgical repair for local groin complications like endarterectomy, primary patch closures, graft, vein bypasses. The list is endless. But I think the more and more future is probably using smaller sheets, which most of the companies are coming out with, pre-close, so that you avoid most of the groin complications. And then there are specialized sheets which are coming in. We haven't had experience with any one of them so far, but this is what it is. The Edwards sheath is an expandable sheath, which as you pass in the device, goes from 16 to probably 18 or 20, and as soon as the stent graft passes through, it goes back to 16. I think that is something that they have a patented technology which does that, and you can even withdraw it. The SoloPath is a balloon-mounted stent sheath where you take in a sheath which is probably 8 or 10 French and then balloon it up to 16, pass in the stent, and then take it out. So I think to conclude, I would say whenever in doubt, pre-dilate the artery, use Kuhn's dilators, be liberal with conduits. Whenever pulling the sheath out, always keep the wire in till the sheath is completely out. Maybe spray some lignocaine while you're taking it out. Always keep a 10 millimeter wire band or a fluency on your table because you never know when you're going to need it. A compliant aortic balloon can be kept inflated at the bifurcation till the covered stent is deployed. And surgical team, of course, as vascular surgeons, we're always ready to help us. I think in the end, I would say it is not just bad luck which causes your access problems. I think sometimes it's your karma. Thank you.